Hey everyone, you're listening to episode 8 of our Minuteman Moment, an Airman's podcast. I'm Sergeant Rolls, and I am your host for this week's episode. Today with us, we have Chief Master Sergeant Brian Rohauer, who is 189th Airlift Wing Command Chief. Welcome, Chief. Thanks for being here today.
Hey, thanks for having me. And this is a cool setup. I got to admit, if anybody gets a chance to come over, it definitely puts you in stereo mode. So this is cool. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's nice. We're official now. So.
Exactly. Look out.
Yeah. And Melody, my counterpart, is finally back from her school. She just graduated to second lieutenant. So welcome back and congratulations.
Well, it's going to piggyback on Chief Rohauer, but I guess that it sounds, or it works for me coming back too legit to quit. We're too legit here,
go.
Chief.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, congrats, by the way.
Thank you.
So Chief, I know we've had a really busy last drill, and we are looking forward to next drill in November in a couple of weeks. So maybe let's just talk a little bit about, how last drill went.
Yeah, so, we're at a difficult time right now. I mean, everybody, last drill, we're still under this COVID mandate, and everybody has their opinions, right? And we're just trying to move forward. So I know there's still emotion and a lot of it. Getting to what's next. I just ask that, people be patient, airmen be patient and realize that, we're navigating the waters just as much as they are. We're paying attention to exorgs that are above us. So it comes at a contentious time, but once again, dignity and respect with whatever people are choosing right now, and stand behind their decision and still here for the information if they need it, whether it's medically, religiously, whatever it may be. But realistically, when it comes down to a military force and a military readiness, we've got to move forward.
So I guess what I'm getting out of this, and I haven't seen the literature on it yet, you're saying that airmen and soldiers have until December to make a decision to become vaccinated?
It is different. It is different between Air and Army.
Army so for us, we're giving them until December.
Right. December 2nd is the decision period. October drill came. You had to start to make. It was decision time, and that was either a vaccine. You were given a mandate that a vaccine had to start by October 27th in order to meet fully vaccinated by the December 2nd timeline. Fully vaccinated, obviously, is the 2 weeks after the last vaccination. So, but December 2nd is still the timeline for air. Army has, I believe, until June 22. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that is the Army's take.
Another thing we want to talk about today is Thanksgiving's coming up, Christmas coming up, holidays, things like that. I know we have a lot of single airmen, maybe some people who have geographically separated families. Maybe just give a positive word of encouragement out for those people and see, give them an idea of what they can do to, maybe not feel so out of place or alone during the holidays.
You bet. So sharing Thanksgiving is a drive, obviously, the wing partakes in, every year. So it's an opportunity to donate. And that goes right back to the airmen in this wing that are identified that may need some financial help during the holidays, because it could be a depressing time for some people. And we talk, September was Suicide Prevention Month, right? So it's not just a month, though, right? It's
right.
Realistically what people are living day in and day out. Suicide prevention, suicide awareness is a daily fight for a lot of people. And we just got to be really cognizant of the fact there are people that may be in a dark spot right now. And are we paying attention? And are we paying, them, are we giving them the time to talk?
Yeah.
And there's 1,039 people in this wing, based on our UMD right now. So that's 1,039 different experiences, 1,039 different stories, and 1,038 different ways that we connect with one another. Are you doing your part? Is everybody doing their part to pay attention when somebody is off in their work center, has the look in their eye? Maybe that's the initial triage that needs to happen as a conversation. And this is a time rolling into the holidays, rolling into a change of season that some people just don't look forward to. This is an opportunity to cover down, and not on the people in this wing, but also on their families as well. So just be cognizant of that fact.
More conversations need to be had, more awareness needs to be made, for supervisors with their airmen, or just friends between friends, or even if you don't like somebody, if you
Sure.
see them struggling and they're having a hard time, you just reach a hand out,
And keep in mind, too, you might not know that someone's going through a hard time. A lot of people do a really good job masking their feelings and their emotions and what's going on. So don't wait for someone to look or to let you know that they're having a hard time. Go ahead and reach out and ask them how they're doing. Maybe they're having a great time. And that could be a good conversation to have as well. Somebody's having a wonderful thing happen in their life that they haven't shared yet.
So when you're driving, right, and I'll use an analogy, when you're driving and you see a student driver sticker on the back of somebody's car, or you see a handicap bumper sticker or something, that you instantly become more patient.
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody's that way. Even a New Yorker in me becomes more patient. We don't wear signs, so nobody knows what's going on until you really get to know somebody, or you have that honest conversation or that trust, and that takes time. So if you build it while a relationship is good, imagine the impact that you can have when something's going negative in somebody's life.
Right.
So just a thought.
Yeah.
On the point of building relationships, right? And I think we're at a time now in the country that everybody's looking to disagree than to find something to agree about. And is it really as bad as it's being portrayed on social media? Is it really as bad as being portrayed on the news? Is it really as bad? Because there's a lot of good going on. What's your focus? What are you paying attention to? What are you looking for the good? Because it's so easy to find the bad. But when's the last time we really walked in and found the positive of something? Every one of us, leadership is not a position. Leadership's a mindset. So I don't care if you're an airman basic or, a general. Leadership is a mindset. You can connect with people. And if it's one or if it's 10 or if it's 1,000, it doesn't matter. You connect. All it is that connection that kind of changes the direction of somebody's life. And building relationships is important. I think it takes time, and I think that's where a lot of people don't want to take the time, because are you me-centric? If you're me-centric, then are you really going to build a relationship with somebody? We all know that person that when you talk to, they're waiting to respond because you see them on the edge of their seat. Their lips are moving without anything coming out of their mouth. Are they really listening to what's happening? And I think a leader has to listen to really make that connection.
Yeah. Sometimes I think it's hard to be an active listener, a good listener. I mean, I don't know. Can you train yourself to be that way? It takes practice, and I think reaching out and talking to somebody like you were just saying, I think it helps you build yourself up to notice and recognize those types of things. So,
yeah,
it's definitely an acquired skill to be an active listener, and anyone that's listening that wants to go out there and just do a quick Google search on it, you'll get a ton of information come back to you where you can study. There are articles, there are short training sessions. Most professional organizations, to include, I've been to several for the Air Force that talk about how to be a more engaged and active listener. So it's certainly a muscle that you have to build and then exercise. You can't just go 6 weeks without listening and wake up tomorrow and say, you know what, today's the day. I'm going to be an active listener all day long.
Sure. And it comes with the maturity, and maturity
Yep.
comes with some people at 22, some people at 42. I'm still trying to, learn, be that life learner. So I think, like Melody said, it's an active thing. You have to just learn to shut up and just really listen. And you pick apart. A lot of people solve their problems by just letting them talk. And you can pick pieces of things that are coming out of people's mouth, the emotions that are coming out, the disagreements, the whatever it may be. A lot of people are giving you the information that they need to get them out of the hole that they're in if you just learn to really actively listen. But it takes time. I can't say that I was always that way. I'm not saying that I'm perfect at it now. I just learned to shut up a whole hell of a lot more and let people say their piece. Anyway, one of the biggest things that said to me when I was a superintendent in the engineer section, it was a young master sergeant just knocked on the door. He said, "Hey, boss, I just want to let you know we inhale what you exhale." That's all he had to say. And I knew instantly that I was doing the wrong thing, because if I'm stressed, then the whole section's stressed. If I'm flying 4 days a week, what does that say to that tech sergeant? Well, if the chief was flying 4 days a week, I have to fly 5. What did that translate to? That translated to stressed at home. Are they even giving time to their family? Because they're living stressed at work. And it was an eye-opening, just one simple sentence kind of changed the direction of, how I was at that time. So, but you got to listen. I mean, you got to have that mentor that somebody may walk in totally junior in rank and say something that should or possibly shake you to your core that you're doing things wrong. And there's nothing wrong with that. Admit it, move on, fix it, and then, cover down on people. So.
Well, and I was going to say, a lot of times people, even if they do want your help in fixing the problem, just through the venting process and the sharing process, they'll work to the solution themselves, the best solution for them. They just needed an avenue or an outlet to have that conversation. So, well, we've also got Veterans Day just right around the corner. So, obviously we're going to have a little bit of a part and a play in that. And, we already touched on a lot of the things that we can do to reach out to people and make sure they're doing okay. But, Veterans Day can also be a celebration for us. But, that is our day to let people appreciate what we do. So.
No, but I think, like I said, it's a perfect opportunity to sit there, not only for those that are currently serving, but those that have served too, right? So it's we don't get where we're at. We don't have what we have without the sacrifice, of the generations before us. So when you see a vet out there, it's obviously, a fist bump, high five, a thank you. They're near and dear to our heart. And I think it's, it's definitely a time. It should be every day, but obviously that's the day. So, yeah. But I appreciate the time. And like I said, this is a concept that you had, running with it. And this is an opportunity too for anybody in this wing, to really sit down, tell a story, tell something that makes them unique, because everybody here is unique to a certain extent. We don't all have to get along, but we have to professionally agree to get through it.
Right.
We become stronger, with differences, and the right differences with the right conversations make us stronger. So this is an opportunity for anybody in this wing to get out of their comfort zone a little bit, and tell a story. You never know who you're going to connect with. You never know who's listening. You never know, where this may plant a seed for somebody to have a conversation with you later. So, it's out for all 1,039 people out there, to walk in here and say, hey, I think I have an idea, or hey, would love to partake in a podcast. So this is Airman's Moment, right? So opportunity for anybody. So.
Right. All right. Well, Chief, I really appreciate you coming in here and talking to us again. I know people like to hear leadership's voice and in keeping it real for people who do listen to this podcast. And
absolutely.
So, all right.
Until next time. So take care of yourself and take care of one another. So looking forward to it.
I'm Melody, and today we are joined by Lieutenant Tim Tate from our Cyber Operations unit here at the 189th. So welcome, Lieutenant Tate. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, I'm a cyber effects officer. So I'm a 17S over there. I'm a drill status guardsman. During the week, I am a cyber instructor at the schoolhouse that we have there, the 223rd. And so I teach cyber tools to military members, and all kinds of different things like programming, how to operate a shell, you name it. It's quite broad, actually.
So I think you kind of touched on it a little bit there in your introduction, but tell us, especially for those of us who don't know a lot or everything or anything about cyber, what does it mean to be a cyber operator? What does that mean to a guardsman?
Yeah, so a cyber operator, it is an AFSC. So, the general meeting is different from the actual AFSC. So traditionally, they're operations that occur from cyber protection teams. And so those are mostly filled by 1B4s. So that would be a cyber operator. Then you've also got, people who are involved in cyber operations that probably would maybe identify as cyber operators, although that's not their official title. For example, the comm unit here, many of those folks could classify themselves as cyber operators because they're involved in cyber operations in hardening systems to implement security controls, create policy, make sure those policies are enforced. They're actually kind of the front line of cyber. So, they could easily identify as well as cyber operators. Not to mention, there's also an initiative by the Air Force it's called the Cyber Squadron Initiative. And what they're doing is the Air Force has decided to take our comm units and take them out of the support group, and they're going to put them in the operations group. For us here, we have C-130s, right? We have a schoolhouse. Well, that cyber squadron would go and look at all the different things that it takes to run that mission. What kind of support tools that are required, even physical elements that are required to run that mission, and they'll provide a really good assessment to pass that up to the wing commander. And so the wing commander has a really good idea of, okay, how much risk am I assuming by not having these different controls in place to protect our mission?
Okay, so what is the mission of the 223rd here at the 189th Airlift Wing?
Well, the mission of the 223rd, as it is right now, is that we are a schoolhouse. So we are in charge of the total force IQT training for the CVAH weapon system. CVAH stands for Cyber Vulnerability and Assessment Hunter, okay? So essentially what that is, it's just a stack of servers and laptops that the Air Force deploys to connect to our whatever weapon system that you have, right? So and to do some form of analysis to that system, okay? And the initial qualification training is done here at the 223rd by cyber instructors like myself. We also have military members that are developing curriculum, things of that nature. And then future-wise, the 223rd will more than likely provide some form of a domestic operations where we could potentially aid the state one day in some form of incident response. Let's see, it's looking like we potentially, like I told you earlier, in a couple of years we'll get a cyber protection team. Okay, so a CPT of ourselves. We have all these 1B4s here who are cyber operators. And so the Air Force wants to give us a CPT so that we can go out and start doing active missions, performing incident response, threat emulation, things like that, in the Air Force.
So you mentioned these cyber protection teams, and we talked a little earlier about having to staff those. So what does it take? What qualifications do you need just to be a cyber operator at the wing? But then even further for that, if you're going to become a member of a cyber protection team, what kind of people are you looking for to come fill these positions in the Guard?
Well, number one, it takes passion. I mean, it really does. The nerdy guy who's always been into computers, the programmer, the guy at Thanksgiving that you always have fix your computer. That's the guy we're looking for. It can't be someone who was placed in an AFSC. It truly has to be a hobbyist and someone who has passion. More than that, though, there actually are some qualifications that are you need to, in the National Guard, there's no pipeline for the 1B4 AFSC. So in the National Guard, you actually have to, it's a follow-on AFSC. You're required to have a previous AFSC with a 5 level and 3 years in that AFSC before you can cross-train to 1B4. So as you can imagine, we don't have many airmen in our squadron. We have a lot
Makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of tech sergeants and up, and we really don't even have that many E5s. And so it takes a lot to get there. You also have to take a test, an aptitude test that's pretty difficult called the EDPT. Don't know what that stands for. I can't remember. And then you also have to possess a IAW Level 3 certification, which a lot of the comm folks here have that, and it's required for any administrators. But essentially, that's normally satisfied by CompTIA's Security Plus certification. So you also have to have that. Cyber is always changing, and there's always new tools. So you got to be willing to, change tool sets a lot and learn new ones.
So why should someone want to become a cyber operator? What can you tell me? What do you enjoy about being a cyber officer? What is something that you would tell someone if you were just out there in the public, you came across one of these computer fixing nerds that you were just talking about? And by the way, I'm a nerd at heart, so I can totally say that here on our podcast. But what would you tell them? Why should they think about becoming a cyber operator in the Air Force?
Well, one, it's kind of new and exciting. So it's somewhat of a new career field, the cyber career field. I mean, it's not like computers are new, okay? But the way that we're protecting them just recently has changed quite a bit. We've really had a huge emergence of what's called advanced persistent threats, or APTs. And these advanced persistent threats are well funded. So with an increase in funding, you have an increase of processing power. So you can, that really complex password that now gets more complex as every single month, they are more able to hack those or brute force those passwords. They're also a lot more complex or well organized than they used to be. So they've been around for quite a while, but they've really grown in number lately. And I'm sure you've seen on the news all kinds of different hacks that have occurred in these major companies. And I promise you, their hacks weren't, they didn't happen at those companies because they weren't configured correctly. They didn't have their security controls configured correctly. No, they had great security controls. It's just that these advanced persistent threats or threat actors, they have such a wealth of resources and knowledge and organization that they're conducting these complex attacks on these companies or our military, and so we need to increase our level of cyber, that general term cyber. So what we're doing now is instead of just saying, hey, set it and forget it, we're actively looking for adversaries in our network.
We are mission-ready airmen providing premier training to the C-130 and cyber enterprises, capitalizing on partnerships to support the state and defend the nation. Our vision is to be a diverse family of airmen, dedicated, adaptive, and empowered to lead.